Hello, welcome to Zentangle Explore. My name is Esther Piszczek. I am a certified Zentangle teacher, and this is a class where we draw one Zentangle pattern really, really slowly while breathing. What you will need is a couple pieces of paper. This is watercolor paper, just cut to the size of your hand so you can draw more than one little composition if you would like, and a pen. I've got a graphic one here, which is a little thicker pen. I have a 01 Micron. I have a felt tip Sharpie, and I have a couple of highlighters just in case I get excited about adding some color. I may or may not do that. But if you just have a ballpoint off of your desk and a piece of copy paper, that is absolutely enough to completely enjoy your time here in this class. So we're going to start with a brief meditation where we just slow down so we can draw slow lines and breathe, and then we will draw. So get nice and comfortable in your seat or wherever you are. You can close your eyes if you'd like. I'm going to close mine. Oh, and just check in with your breath. Say hello, breath. Welcome to this moment. Just allow that breath to be exactly as it is, knowing that it is perfect, absolutely perfect as it is. And just notice. Just notice. How does the inhale feel in your body? Is it shallow? Is it deep? Is it fast? Is it slow? Is it somewhere in between? Is it cool? Is it warm? Not as a judgment, but just as a discernment, just so that you can notice how it feels, what it's doing. And just the noticing likely will bring a shift. And then you can notice what that shift feels like. Breath is composed of a nice inhale, bringing oxygen in, and a baby rest at the top, and a releasing exhale, allowing carbon dioxide to leave, and a baby little rest at the bottom. If anything else is coming into your mind, popping up like little clouds, just ask them to settle. They're going to be waiting for you when you're done breathing and you're done drawing, so they can just settle. As you bring your focus gently back to your breath, allowing it to be as it is, knowing that the noticing is enough. And when you're ready, let's take a big inhale together. And a nice sighing exhale. Allowing that sound vibration to just massage your organs, relax your nervous system. Another big inhale together. And a nice releasing exhale. One last big inhale together. And a nice long exhale. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and know that whatever we create together will be perfect just as it is. Okay, thank you so much for breathing with me so that we can draw nice slow lines. All right, I'm going to change my camera and we will draw. Okay, so I have a couple pieces of watercolor paper here. You can use whatever paper you like. I like watercolor in case I want to add watercolor later or some other color medium. But if you just have copy paper, that's great. I have a 01 Micron. I have a graphic one to add some darker spaces if I like. I have a Sharpie felt tip, which you can get just in an office supply store. But again, if you just have a ballpoint, absolutely perfect. So today, and I've got a crooked piece of paper, and I'm going to call that absolutely great. We are going to draw a pattern called Deluge by Kacey Jarvinen. And this is a very simple tangle, which we often draw very simple tangles in this class. And we are going to explore this tangle in whatever way you want to explore it. So if what you draw looks nothing like what I draw, that will be amazing. Okay, so this starts out with a little spiral. Nice slow lines. And the spiral has a bit of a wave to it. And so in this class, we look at the components of the tangle so that we can change the tangle. The next part of this is an aura line. It just mimics what comes before. Another aura line. So we have this spiral, a wavy tail, and then some aura lines. So just from this alone, ask, do these things have to be like this? Does a spiral have to be round? Could it be square? Could it be triangular? Could it be rectangular? Does the middle part need to be small? Could it start out with a huge orb and then spiral around? Does this tail need to be curvy? Could it be jagged? Could it be mountain-like? Could it be loopy-loop? Do these aura lines need to be continuous, or could they break up? Could they be just on one side or on both sides or only on this side? Maybe the aura comes up here. Maybe you want to start this here and put these kind of together. However you explore this is completely up to you. And if you just love this pattern exactly the way it is, then you can just keep drawing this pattern. That's absolutely perfect too. I'm going to show you what happens if we overlap these. I'm going to start my spiral just a little too close to this one. And when I come around, I'm just going to stop. I'm going to watch where it goes underneath, and then I'm going to continue on. Maybe you have more than 3 aura lines. Now this pattern doesn't have a lot of grounding black to it, so it's a really great opportunity to play with what I call creative black, adding creative black. And there are a number of ways that we can do that. We can add a little rounding to this. It's just where we add a little webbing to these corners to round it out. You can add weighting to any of your lines. You could draw with a thicker pen to make your lines thicker. Just know that whatever you choose to do is an opportunity to learn about what you find pleasing and what perhaps is less pleasing, so that you can make a new choice. And every choice will bring you new information. And that information allows you to make another choice. And what's lovely about that is that you are the one doing the choosing. So if there's anything in your head, you're drawing along and all of a sudden this little idea pops in and says, well, what if I did this thing? What if I made this super wild or exaggerated or a lot smaller? Or part of it is small and part of it is huge. What if I connect my aura to the line? No matter what that little inspiration is, I encourage you to follow it, because this is an exploratory class. And the only way to truly explore is to do things that we are not used to doing, to do new things, to do things that maybe our mind is telling us are maybe a little bit strange or odd or wild or won't work or dangerous. Oh my. Dangerous with a pen on the page. Scandalous. At the end of the day, it's just ink on a page. Every single line informs the next. So when you perhaps don't like a line that you made, it is equally valuable as a line that you do like, because without that line you didn't like, the one you do like just wouldn't have shown up. Just breathing and drawing. I teach a class called Zentangle Unfurled, where we learn 3 or 4 patterns and everybody just draws and explores those patterns on their own, so that every composition and every tile is completely different. It's a really lovely way to draw in community. Nobody's trying to draw what I'm drawing, because they can see what I'm drawing, but I'm not using that as instructional, only as a loose demo. So it creates safety, and that we're all drawing together and my tile is visible, but so much freedom, because everybody gets to do exactly what they want to do. And I always find it interesting in a class that's all about exploration that my students have started saying, oh, I think I went too far. I explored too much. I went past the borders of like the known tangle into some other territory that was wrong. And I have to laugh, because the whole point of the class is to go beyond the borders of the territory, to explore past what the tangle creator created, so that you can make it uniquely yours. And if that means that it becomes unrecognizable, then bravo. And if you enjoyed the process, then amazing, because that's what drawing is about. Drawing is about exploring lines on the page to see what happens. And it's so much more pleasing when you're actually enjoying the process of drawing, of watching the ink, just watching the ink. If there was no ink there, I'd put my pen tip to the page and ink appears. And I can follow that line and know that line was created by me. And nowhere in all of the history of humans on this planet, past or future, will that line ever be drawn exactly like that again. And that makes it a very interesting line. Interesting and valuable. I used to wait for people to tell me that my drawing was good enough until I realized that it's a very precarious way of going about things because you never know what the response is going to be. And so I started telling myself that my lines were good enough simply because I drew them and started having a much more pleasing experience while drawing. So I was no longer waiting for somebody else to tell me. Or give me permission to keep drawing. And we think that we have to be at a certain level in order to participate in a practice. But the truth is, you don't get good at something without actually doing it. So if we just shut ourselves down saying, well, this isn't good enough, doesn't look like so-and-so's, or it's not like such and such I saw on Facebook, then you never have the opportunity to reach that level on your own because you stop practicing. What I love about this particular drawing practice is because it's all about practicing, exploring, seeing what happens if, just showing up to the page as you are. Crooked lines, wavy lines, lines you don't intend, all of them are valuable. You maybe end up exploring for 10 or 15 minutes before you find something you're like, wow, that's super cool. I want to keep drawing that. I want to keep doing more of that. And it was that 10 or 15 minutes that brought that into being. And so all of those lines you drew before you got there, super valuable. In the end, it doesn't really matter what it looks like. It's the experience, the eye-hand coordination that's developing, the trusting of that inner voice that says, hey, let's do that. Developing trust in your own inspiration, the acting on that inspiration that further enlivens that inspiring voice to speak to you, to draw your attention to something new. And then that trust shows up on the page. It shows up in your lines. Your lines become more confident. You become more willing to explore and to follow that voice, even when it's saying things that you think, that will never work. I've had that argument with my inspiration many, many times. That will never work. Except that it almost always does. And when it doesn't, it leads me to something else. It does work. And so I know that that step in between was a necessary part of getting to the really good part. What I also love about this practice is that I begin to live my life this way, by knowing that what I'm doing is valuable and leading me to something else and bringing new information will help me to find what it is that I'm truly seeking. Then it becomes really fun. And then I realize that I'm not just drawing lines on a page. What I'm doing is exercising my discernment muscle, strengthening my inner self-talk so that my voice is the one that matters and not all the other people out in the world shouting at me. To be this or to be that. Do it my way. My way is the way that works. If you're not doing it my way, you're getting nowhere. And that's just a lot of brouhaha. It keeps us stuck and scared. But we don't need to be stuck and scared. We've got a piece of paper and a pen. And that is a very powerful combination. Nice slow lines. Get all excited about exploring something and I find myself speeding up to say, slow down. Go slow. There is a car alarm going off outside my apartment, and I'm hoping you cannot hear it. Very loud. With these organic tangles, you can arrange them any way you'd like. And so it's sometimes pleasing to take them and put them in a grid, or turn them into a band tangle by lining them up. And also just to play with arranging them. You can arrange them in a circle to make a little flower type shape or mandala. We're starting with the spiral of this deluge triangle, and then some auras on the tail, and then changing it however you'd like. Nice and slowly while breathing. Allowing yourself to be inspired by whatever pops up. Trusting the process of drawing. Knowing that your way is unique in all the world. And that is amazing. I also love practicing in this class, exploring, well, if I'm used to starting with the spiral, what happens if I start with the tail? Exploring the way in which you draw. how you hold your pen. I'd started a couple weeks ago. I stopped, and I'm only remembering this now, but I'd started practicing drawing with my left hand. I'm right-handed. So I started drawing with my left hand, and I found it to be a very exciting, fun process because just after practicing briefly, I could tell that my lines were changing and shifting. I'm talking about it. I'm going to try it right now. This is a simple enough tango. Allowing what shows up to show up. Drawing slowly and breathing. I'm finding as I'm doing this that I'm less focused on the line and more focused on watching the ink, which is kind of a fun experience. Maybe it's because my pen is on the opposite side now that I'm drawing on the left. And so my perception of what I'm drawing has changed, which is really interesting. This pattern was inspired by a pattern on a plaque at a museum in Kentucky that's talking about, actually, the woman Kacey Jarvinen who created it said that they had a life-size Noah's Ark there, and so it was a plaque about the flood, Noah's Ark story in the Bible, and they had this water type pattern there engraved on the plaque. So she deconstructed it and created this tangle called Deluge. Really fun origination story. There's literally no way to do this class wrong. That's a very freeing thought. You're holding a pen and drawing a line, and you are doing it right. encourage you to remind yourself that you're doing it right, no matter what is showing up on the page. Just slowing down and breathing. Watching the ink appear on the page. One line at a time. One breath at a time. It's amazing to me to think about the fact that this piece of watercolor paper that I started with just started blank, and I had no idea what it was going to look like. An idea of what the tangle was before you did, but I didn't know, because it's an exploration, what the ultimate, you'd call it a composition, because anything that's on a page is a composition, a free exploration in this case. But no idea what was going to show up. I had no idea I was going to draw with my left hand today. It's just so exciting to just show up for what is showing up for you. And that's what I find to be super helpful in life. I'm finding that staying present, a way to stay present, is to tell myself to just keep showing up for what's showing up for me. Whatever's showing up in this moment. And if that's crooked, wiggly lines that look ridiculous, well, bravo for me for being brave enough to continue to draw, to allow them to be there. And bravo to you too. But when I tell myself to show up for what's showing up for me, then I naturally come into a state of presence instead of a state of judgment. Traveled over the last 2 weeks and did some really unexpected things happening, and continuing to tell myself to just show up for what was showing up was so helpful for navigating what turned out to be a really tumultuous time. And we get to practice really simply. There's no crisis happening here. The line goes awry. No one's bleeding. No one's going to the hospital. We're all getting out of this class alive. And we can honor our courage and our bravery, showing up and allowing the lines to be what they are, to not judge them, to in fact to honor them and to celebrate them, because there's something you've never seen before. They will help you draw even newer lines, more exploratory lines in the future. That is something worth noting. We've drawn all this time together. It's only after all of that that I found this really exciting way to explore this pattern that I really love. And I know that I had to draw all those lines in order to get here. And I know that while some of you may be drawing similar lines, they're not the same lines. Your lines are your lines, and my lines are my lines. And I can't draw my line, I can't draw your lines, and you can't draw my lines, which means that gives me total permission to draw my lines and to embrace them as unique because they are. That is amazing. Your lines are unique too. They're solely yours. And even if I tried, I wouldn't be able to duplicate them or replicate them, no matter how many years of practice I have. Because what you have is you, your insides, your experience. All of you makes you your own special being. So that everything you do is unique to you. Wouldn't it be so much more fun if you told yourself every day, wow, I am a unique individual being, and nobody else can take my place or do what I do, no matter what that is. Nobody, ever. It's amazing. It's truly mind-blowing, actually. If you really, really think about it. It's astounding. It's so much more pleasing than comparing to beings that you can't compare to because there's no comparison. All beings being unique. There's zero comparison possibility that makes any sense anyway. The whole comparing apples and oranges. Yes, they're both fruit, but that's where the comparison ends. Yes, we're all humans, and that's where the comparison ends. We're similar and different. That is absolutely worth celebrating. I'm going to break out my orange highlighter here just for fun. I love adding color with highlighters, especially when I'm drawing on envelopes. It's just such an easy, semi, like transparent way to add color. It's just delightful, and I don't care if it is going to fade in the sunlight or disappear because I'm drawing on an envelope that somebody's going to recycle anyway. They're inexpensive. If I take a brush and some water, I can turn them into watercolor. I mean, they're kind of amazing. They are, in fact, amazing. I think we all just think, it's only a highlighter. I used to use that in school. I had to study all those books. But they were really fantastic, accessible, inexpensive art supply. They make envelopes way more fun. You don't even need a pen to draw on an envelope. You can just use a highlighter. You take this little deluge triangle and put it on an envelope and send it out into the world and delight all kinds of people just by sending an exploration out into the world. I
a friend who started painting rocks. She started putting them out in public places and then noticed that other people were putting painted rocks where her painted rocks were, adding to them. And those painted rocks turned into sticky notes with all sorts of lovely messages on them, like, "You are amazing, keep shining." And so her little rock inspiration started to inspire all these other people. It's such a beautiful story of reciprocation, of energetic flow, and building community by uplifting others, putting empowering messages out into the world, and then having those empowering messages change and transform and shift and move and grow, and all through people that you do not know. That is just like, wow. Wow, I say wow. Keep going. We need more of that in the world. More love, more inspiration, more allowing, more joy. And you are participating right now by showing up with your pen and exploring. Bravo. Okay, here are all of my tiles. This is what I have created today with you. Thank you so much for coming to draw with me, because there are live people behind every single one of these recordings. I'm grateful for them, and I'm grateful for you. I am so excited that you came to draw with me. Thank you so much. So you can use these tangles by leaving them in library books. You can draw on envelopes. You can pop them in a birthday card. You can do whatever you would like. And no matter what you do, I hope you keep drawing. So you can find out more about me by going to eternalpossibility.com. You can donate to these classes at paypal.me/eternalpossibility. And you can find my other classes on YouTube. So I hope you keep drawing.